Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 315 for September 26th, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, Usher is announced as this year's Super Bowl halftime performer. The Miami Dolphins put up 70 points on the Denver Broncos, and Taylor Swift got all the attention at the Chiefs-Bears game. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son, Adam.
For $100, can you name at least 5 Taylor Swift songs?
No.
Okay, well, he ain't even going to try.
None of them.
None of them?
Can't tell you a
Not a
single
one? Can you tell me one?
Nope.
I'm flabbergasted.
I maybe have heard one, in the background of something, but I couldn't
You just
tell
give
you.
off big Swifty energy. I don't know what it is. I just feel like whenever you go out on your little morning walks, that's what you'd be listening to. Is a little Shake It Off by T Swift or something like that.
You know what I've said before. There's been no good music created since 2000.
That's not true.
Everything since 2000 has been crapola.
All right, and if I look up how many Weird Al albums have come out since 2000...
Oh, now you're talking the exception.
That's right. Back it up. Yep, back up that statement real quick.
Weird Al don't make no bad albums.
This is an undeniable fact.
And I've seen him in person. Okay, we come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and the YouTube video, so you can go right to the topics that you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel, and you can find that by using the handle @TheWorldOfFootball in the YouTube search box. Let's see, as well as other selected videos, like Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast, and you and your brother-in-law Kyle did Game 3 with the Falcons the other night.
Yep, right after the game too.
Yep. And a little bonus video on top of that.
Oh man, he had a couple of gems. If you guys haven't checked out, if you're a Lions fan, you might want to check that one out. I feel like that was the most out of Kyle we've gotten. Obviously, I turned one of his little flubs into a YouTube short.
Oh, I know all about that. Yeah, you did a whole Father's Day thing on me. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's what I do. Trying to get this channel to reach new heights, and you guys are the fuel for the fire. No, like seriously, he had a couple of great bits in there, including one because we normally record the day after a Lions game. I mean, there's only been 3 games of the season. We had 3 preseason games, but it's usually a day after just because of our schedules. But with him, we could have recorded after that Lions-Seahawks game, but he was so mad and apparently had been drinking that he didn't want to do it right after a loss, so he was mad. But then after they win, of course, he said, well, when the Lions show up, I show up. And that was another great quote during that show for him.
Do you think he had a couple of barley pops before he recorded
undeniable. That? Undeniable. He was probably also jamming to some Metallica like Dan Campbell would afterward. Okay. But yeah, if you guys get a chance, we do that little Lions show. It's only usually between 20 to 30 minutes, so we try not to do it too long. But we get Kyle in there before he goes and takes a nap. So
a pre-nap video.
Yeah.
We also have our weekly picks for week 4 coming up
this week, and then we had week 3 last week, obviously. And Spoiler alert, I might have done the worst out of everybody.
Maybe.
I think so. If I looked at the email you sent, I might have done worse. But and we still got a couple. Man, I've been so all over the place.
Everybody this week, they were all like within a game or 2 of one another.
That's picking. That's a crapshoot.
Yeah,
I mean, you take a chance. There's a lot of upsets.
So many games this week that did not go the way anybody thought they were going to go.
Yeah. Even though it felt like as we were going along, like, well, this is a sure thing. This is
right.
Like, come on, all of us thought the Cowboys against the Cardinals was a sure thing.
Absolutely. Bet the farm on that one.
Pleasantly surprised.
You lost your farm.
Yeah. And we'll talk about those games here in a second. Anything else before we get rolling?
No, we also have a history lesson coming up, and
we've been saying that for 2 weeks. I have not been able to get.
Hey, I did my part. I did my part.
You did do your part. It's been sitting in my hard drive. And it's just, man, I've had no time.
And we have another episode of Have Grave Will Travel coming up.
Also sitting in the pipeline.
Right.
Again,
I do need to do some more on that before you can
okay, so
do that.
it's
So
not just me.
that's not just you. Yes,
All right.
that's part me too. All right. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the world of football scoreboard.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If I could get this mouse to work on this stinking computer, we'll get things rolling. All right. So, yes, our World of Football scoreboard starts with week 3 in the National Football League. And on Thursday night, the San Francisco 49ers took care of the New York Giants 30-12. Pretty much the result everybody expected. Then, how about this? An overtime shocker as the Indianapolis Colts, with Gardner Minshew taking over for rookie Richardson, defeated the Ravens 22-19. So kudos to the Colts. They're looking like a strong team. And
Yeah, the note that I have on that game is Colts kicker Matt Gay had 4 field goals of over 50 yards in the game, including the game winner in overtime.
yeah, there's something we as Lions fans appreciate. It's a good kicker who's consistent
that's
from
right.
50 yards. As long as it's not Justin Tucker
Yeah.
kicking a 64-yard field goal right at me in the end zone at Ford Field, I'm usually pretty cool with kickers.
Yeah, more on Justin Tucker later.
Oh, really? I did not know this.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to keep moving on. How about that Cleveland Browns defense as they held the Tennessee Titans to 3 points and a 27-3 win for the Browns? Did you see the highlight from this game where Myles Garrett was like going back and forth across the defensive line, and the Titans had 2 players who were clearly supposed to line up wherever Myles Garrett was, and because he kept moving back and forth, these 2 guys kept shifting, and I don't think the Titans eventually had to call a timeout because it was taking so long. Because I think Myles Garrett realized what was happening, and he just kept going back and forth. It's great. Myles Garrett is one of the best defensive linemen in the league, and I love watching him play. As long as the Lions don't play him, I love watching Myles Garrett. All right. The New Orleans Saints dropped a should-have-been win against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers got the win 18-17. They were down 17-0. Derek Carr for the Saints got hurt, and the Packers kind of clawed their way back into the game. The Saints did miss a field goal towards the end of the game with a rookie kicker. I didn't realize they had a rookie kicker.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know he was rookie.
Missed it wide right. Green Bay holds on for the win. And, that was a tough one to watch, especially after watching our Detroit Lions defeat the Atlanta Falcons 20-6. It was nice to have a game where I thought for sure Bijan Robinson was going to at least get his. I thought he'd at least get like 100 yards rushing, probably catch a couple passes because he looked electric. He's still probably going to be one of the best running backs in the league for years to come. But the fact that the Lions were able to stop him, like I think they held him to like 40-ish yards rushing, maybe 30 yards rushing. Outstanding. The Lions defense actually showing up.
Yeah, they got a lot of heat last week for their performance last week's game, but man, oh man, the defense played well this week. It wasn't real flashy.
No.
At the end when Hutchinson got his sack, but what was it? Six players got sacked.
6 players got sacked.
Yeah, I saw that, and I mean, we knew that during the game. I didn't realize it was 6, but I knew it was 4 or 5 guys. Different guys all getting sacked.
Once the first sack happened, it started snowballing, and Hutchinson finally got a couple. So it was great seeing him get in there. I think he got robbed by linebacker Derek Barnes because Barnes kind of like stepped in front of Hutchinson for a sack. So Hutchinson probably should have had 3 sacks. But hey, whatever. A sack's a sack, and I'm glad my team got it.
Yeah. Now we watched that whole game, but we didn't know until after the game that Aiden Hutchinson's older sister Mia sang the national anthem at Ford Field before the game. We didn't see that on our broadcast. It was you saw it like at halftime or they mentioned it later on, but that wasn't part of our regular broadcast. And I would have thought maybe they would have featured that.
That should have been something that should have been mentioned up top,
especially locally, here in Michigan. But but good for her.
Yeah, good for her. It sounded like it was a great performance. I didn't actually see it, but
no, I haven't heard it.
I saw all the pictures. The Lions
tons of pictures, but I
stuff.
haven't actually heard the performance. But I'm sure it was great.
Yep, and probably one of your many upsets of the week. How about the Houston Texans getting a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 37-17? C.J. Stroud looking great and getting his first win as a quarterback in the National Football League. So the Texans not as bad as we thought. Are the Jaguars worse than we thought, or is this just a letdown for one week?
Yeah, I don't know what to think. It's so many games. I'm going to say I don't know what to think about this game.
I know.
Is this the norm or is this an aberration?
Right. Speaking of norms or aberrations, how about the Miami Dolphins dropping 70 points on the Denver Broncos, 70-20? I had to look at my screen and go, "Is that a typo?"
Yeah, because you were kind of keeping track of the score, and you said, "Well, they just had 35 points a minute ago, and now it's 70."
Right.
10 touchdowns.
Well, at first you were also on a Facebook group chat with some Buffalo Bills fans.
Yeah.
And you were saying Did the Bills score 70?
I thought they were talking about the Bills game
You're
because
talking
that's all
about,
they talk about is the
yeah, and
Bills.
I was just like, what, the Bill? Even the Bills were, last I checked, was up 16-0 over Washington. We'll talk
Right.
about that in a second. But
Yeah.
and
I got
and we
confused.
finally saw that score flash the screen, and I couldn't believe what I saw.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember the Dolphins getting like 35, and then all of a sudden, the next time I saw the score, it was 70. So it was like unbelievable. What, they had 5 rushing touchdowns, 5 passing touchdowns. It's the first time in NFL history that's ever happened.
Hmm.
And the first time since what, 1966, they said that a team has scored 70 points or more.
Yeah, there have been 4 games in NFL history that have somebody has scored 70 points. The first time was in 1940. The Bears beat the Redskins 73-0 in the NFL championship game. That's famous for
And that's the most points ever scored in an NFL game. And
Yes.
people were wondering why the Dolphins didn't try to kick that field goal to at least tie
Right,
the
yeah.
record. But
Yeah.
I mean,
But then, 1966, the Washington Redskins defeated the Giants 72-14. So the
41.
Redskins, huh?
You wrote 41.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say 42? 72-41. So the Redskins have been on the plus side and the negative side of a 70-point game. And then in 1950, the Los Angeles Rams defeated the Baltimore Colts 70-27. And that score, by the way, they mentioned it on TV, was a scoreagami.
Yeah. I follow that great Twitter account where they talk about if a game
Yep.
is a scoreagami. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yep.
So there we go. That's
Well,
a
no,
scoreagami.
they mentioned it right on the or it wasn't on the broadcast. It might have been on ESPN.
Okay.
I'll bet it was on ESPN.
The 1077th unique final score in
Yep.
NFL history. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but there was actually another one they mentioned.
And we'll get to that one in a
okay.
second.
So the 2 scoreagamis this week.
But man, 70 points is unreal. Is this Dolphins team as legit as they look? I'm going to be very curious because they play a very decent Buffalo team this upcoming week. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll
spoiler
see.
alert, Buffalo might be my pick to upset the Dolphins. But I mean, the Dolphins could be the best, at least the best offense in the league. We'll see if Tua stays healthy. This could be a very scary team going forward.
Yep.
All right, moving on. The Los Angeles Chargers and Minnesota Vikings got into a let's try to see who'll lose this game fight as the Chargers came out with this one 28-24. The Vikings are 0-3 now, which last year they had the most one-score victories. They had 11 one-score victories, and now this year it seems like they've had 3 straight. I can't remember what their first week, so I could be off by 1.
Yeah.
But that's the last few weeks they've had one-score losses. So that's where the mean median, it's like it's the average coming back the other way. You're not going to always be winning one-score games. You're going to get that other side, and I think now that other side's starting to bite the Vikings, where it's going the other direction.
We caught the tail end of this game because when the Lions game was over, they switched over to this one, I think.
Yeah.
And so we caught the tail end of it, and they were down, inside the 5-yard line with no timeouts. And I said to you, man, they're not playing with any sense of urgency.
They had no urgency.
The clock was running. They couldn't stop it. And the guys were just walking around and, okay, let's get set up for another play and this and that. I'm like, you guys got to do something. You need, you've got a first and goal.
Didn't they say was it this game that they said that they were 1 player injury away from like a penalty? There was a game I was watching. I can't remember which game it was, but because you had no timeouts left and you had offensive player injuries, usually they charge you a timeout, but since they
or
did
a 10-second runoff,
or a 10-second runoff, so I believe after 2 it automatically becomes like a 5-yard penalty, and I think that was applied, and I can't remember if that was applied to this game or one of the other games I was watching.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what happens when you watch so much football.
But yeah, there was no sense of urgency, and what did they do? They threw an interception and lost the game.
Yeah, right in the end zone.
It was, man, the clock management or the coaching, I don't know, was just terrible in that final seconds of that game.
Hey, that's where, like
Awful.
I said, it comes down to last year they had the great one-score wins. Now here comes the one-score losses. So we'll see if that trend keeps. I hope it does. Yeah. Sorry, Vikings fans. Sorry, not sorry. All right, the New England Patriots got a 15-10 win over the New York Jets, but shoot, the Jets had a shot there at the end. I almost thought they were going to nail that Hail Mary pass at the end of the game. But
we got the tail end of that too. Bonus NFL.
We were jumping
coverage
around there after the Lions game, but yep. So the Jets, what's the answer there? I see they're trying to sign Trevor Siemian, a veteran quarterback, but I don't think that's the answer. I don't know if Zach Wilson's as bad as everybody's making him out to be, but clearly, I mean, they've lost 2 straight. They got a gauntlet coming up. What do you do if you're the Jets?
I feel for Jets fans. Your expectations were so high coming into this season, and after 4 plays, you're in the toilet. So I'm sorry, but as Lions fans, we've been there, so we
Yeah.
know what that feels like, and it's not fun.
All right, we're quickly going to keep moving on here. The Bills
Yeah.
defeated the Commanders 37-3. The Seattle Seahawks got a 37-27 victory over the Carolina Panthers. The Arizona Cardinals shocked the Dallas Cowboys with a 28-16 win out in the desert.
I could not believe
Didn't
that.
see that one coming, but
No.
that I thought the Cardinals were the worst team going
Oh
into the
yeah.
weekend,
Yeah.
but they got some fight in them. So now we got to keep an eye on those Cardinals. They might not win 5 or 6 games,
Right.
but watch them for some sneaky
They,
games.
they
They're
could come
going
up
to
and
get
bite
that.
somebody
They
when
could,
they least
yeah.
expect it.
So now you got to keep an eye on them. And then we're going to quickly talk about this game, but we're going to talk about it more later. But the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Chicago Bears, who might be the worst team in the NFL now, 41-10.
Yeah.
The Bears had a heck of a week too. They had like $100,000 worth of equipment stolen from Soldier Field.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
That was all over the pregame. Then they had lost a defensive coordinator to some shady circumstances.
Oh yeah, I heard he resigned.
He resigned, and something about the FBI being involved. Oh boy, yeah, it was quite a mess there. So a heck of a week. And then Justin Fields with his comments about the coaching staff being probably kind of misconstrued. Blah blah. So a heck of a week for the Bears.
Yeah.
Just to get smacked in the face by the Chiefs with Taylor Swift watching.
And didn't they go away from that game and jump to another game?
Oh my God.
CBS.
I loved bringing that up to the Bears
ABC.
fans at work because it was like 35, there was like 30 something to, I can't remember the score, but it was so bad that Kurt Menefee had to come on my screen and go, well, we're going to take you guys to a more competitive game. And if that doesn't tell you the state of your team, or they're going to move away to a different game.
If showing Taylor Swift every 30 seconds in the luxury suite with Kelsey's mom isn't enough to keep the network there, I don't know what is.
Well, funny enough, we will talk about that in the news because that game we're going to have plenty to talk about later on. Then in your Sunday night game, the Pittsburgh Steelers got a 23-18 win over the Raiders. Some questionable play calling decisions and situational decisions by Raiders coach McDaniels. That's, I don't know if you saw any of that, where he was down by 8 points and opted for a field goal inside the 10-yard line. Some very questionable decision making there.
Yeah.
So he's catching some flack for that. Then on Monday night, we had another doubleheader, another scoregami game as the Eagles beat the Buccaneers 25-11.
Yeah.
I thought for sure the Buccaneers could handle this game, but the Eagles still find a way to win.
Yeah.
They're a tough team still. They might not put up the scores like last year, but they're still going to find a way to win. And then the other Monday night game saw the Bengals get revenge on the Los Angeles Rams, 19-16.
I watched this whole game.
Yep.
It was atrocious. It was the worst football game I have seen in 10 years.
And we're Lions fans.
Neither team.
Something.
And I was there to support Stafford. I was looking for Stafford to be. He looked terrible because he got no help from his offensive line. Kind of like when he was in Detroit.
Yeah.
And the same thing for Cincinnati and Burrow. They could not protect him. Aaron Donald was in his face all night long. I thought he was going to get hurt because he didn't practice a lot because of a leg injury. Yeah, a calf injury. And so I didn't. At first, I didn't think he should be out there because of the way he was getting knocked down so much. But this was the worst game I've ever seen. What I came away from this game was thinking that these two teams are not going anywhere this year.
Ooh,
you can put both of these teams in the toilet right now. They're just one injury away from not winning another game this year. They looked that bad. I was so disgusted with that whole game.
That's where offensive line is one of the most crucial areas for your team. The Rams have always kind of had a suspect line. I mean, when they won that Super Bowl, Stafford at least had some sort of line. Now that's deteriorated. They've lost some good pieces.
But I mean, he did get some protection a few times, and he was able to find a receiver, and the guy would drop the ball, or it went a little over his head, or he wasn't quite on the mark.
And
same with Burrow. Burrow was throwing balls over the guy's head or behind him, or nobody there. It was like watching a preseason game with a bunch of no names people starting the game. Gosh, it was just terrible. And you hear all these pundits talking about, Cincinnati did a great job of this and that. They look like crap. They both did. They should both have a loss on that. That should have been a 0-0 tie. Man, I was so mad with that. And I stayed up till midnight watching that stupid
Wow,
game.
that's a big deal for
Yeah, I
you.
bought a 6-pack of Mountain Dew just to stay awake because I wanted to see the
I
whole
was wondering,
thing.
you had a lot of Mountain Dew
I
sitting
did.
around.
Well,
I was
they
like,
had
dang.
buy one or buy two get one free.
Oh,
So.
you're gonna need that for Thursday night when the Lions
Exactly. It'll get
Packers game
drank.
comes
Don't worry
rolling
about it.
around. Oh, I'm sure it will. Okay. Well, now we are going to move on to the CFL. Oh, our beloved CFL. I'm so bad. I have not been able to watch as much or focus on as much CFL as I want to now that NFL season's here. But this is our moment to bask in the glory that is the CFL. Friday night had a doubleheader. The first of which saw the Ottawa Red Blacks defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 36-28. Ottawa quarterback Dustin Crum completed 21 passes for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 53 yards and another touchdown, while running back Devontae Williams had 22 carries for 136 yards. On Saskatchewan's side, wide receiver Jake Dolagala completed 26 passes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's quarterback.
A quarterback. Okay, you wrote
I put
WB.
the wrong in it. Yeah.
So I was like, well, it's probably wide receiver.
No, it's quarterback.
Wow.
I put
Okay.
that
Well, wide back, quarterback Jake
Quarterback.
Dolagala completed 26 passes for 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. While wide receiver Kean Schaefer Baker, ooh, that's a great name.
Yeah, it's a great
had
name.
7 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. Friday night also saw the British Columbia Lions defeat the Edmonton Elks 37-29, helping British Columbia clinch a playoff spot. Good for them. Edmonton has been shut out by British Columbia in their previous 2 games this season, so at least they put some points on the board.
Yes, they did.
British Columbia quarterback Vernon Adams completed 16
Passes.
Oh.
I forgot to put the P
Oh,
on
he
that
forgot
word.
to put. I should have read that out loud. This is a family show. Let's just say he wrote passes without the P, and oh man, I about. Holy smokes.
I'm sorry.
Okay. 16. Okay. 16 passes for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran the ball for another 54 yards, while running back Taquan
Mizell, yes.
ran the ball 16 times for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Javon Katoy had 4 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. Then for the Elks, quarterback Trey Ford, one of our favorite players up in the CFL that we're hoping to see, get some wins.
Do
Man,
some
we
great things.
really like Trey Ford.
It's so close.
Completed 20 passes for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for another 43 yards. Wide receiver Dylan Mitchell had 3 catches for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. And according to Randy, best highlights of the week.
Oh, there were so many fumble recoveries, fumbles, interceptions. Oh my gosh, it was just wall-to-wall action in that game. The highlights were so fun. Go check them out on cfl.ca.
If anything, like we say, every time we talk about the CFL and some of these games, great highlight packages.
Yes.
They are some of the best in the business when it comes to putting, their highlight packages together. I feel like the NFL highlights do a decent job, but I feel like there's a little more fluff to the NFL highlights. CFL stuff seems like they get right to it. You get in and out, and you get a really good feel of how that game went.
8 or 9 minutes. They show you a lot of plays you normally wouldn't see. You get to see all the field goals, and a few other things. Plays that maybe just were a really good first down. Were only 2 or 3 yards, but that's a key play, and you get to see that. So yeah, 8 or 9 minutes per highlight package. Worth your time.
All right. Yep. Then we had a doubleheader on Saturday, which the first game we're going to talk about saw the Montreal Alouettes defeat the Calgary Stampeders 28-11. Is that a scoregami? Is there a CFL scoregami?
Not in Canada.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's got to be one out there somewhere. The internet probably has it. Montreal was up 11-8 at halftime. How about that? But Alouettes quarterback Cody Fajardo completed 22 passes for 252 yards and a touchdown, while running back William Stanback had 14 carries for 81 yards. He also caught a touchdown. How about that?
He did.
Calgary quarterback Jake Mayer completed 29 passes for 271 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Reggie Bagleton had 13 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown. And on Saturday, in the greatest rivalry in the Canadian Football League, the defending reigning Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts defeated their rival from Ontario, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 29-14. As I slowly slip into a
Don't do that.
what is it? Strange brew accent. 29-14. How about that there, eh? Toronto was up 20 to... that's more Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Toronto was up 20-4 at halftime. How about that one? Argos quarterback Chad Kelly completed 17 passes for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver DeJean Brisket. Ooh, that's a...
Brissett, not brisket.
Oh, Brissett. Okay, I read it wrong. But I was like, man, that'd be a great name to pair with Bijan Robinson. You got Dijon Brisket. Oh,
No, Dijon Brissett.
Okay, Mr. Brissett, you might want to consider changing your name because Brisket sounds a whole lot cooler. No offense. So Brissett had 6 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hamilton quarterback Taylor Powell completed 27 passes for 334 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, while wide receiver Keandre Smith had 9 catches for 156 yards. Holy smokes.
Yep.
Good for him.
Yep.
And then on bye this week, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Quickly, we're going to run down the CFL standings as we inch ever so close to the CFL postseason. In the East, the Toronto Argonauts, who did clinch that East Division, sit at 12-1, followed by the 7-7 Montreal Alouettes, the 6-8 Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the 4-10 Ottawa Redblacks. In the West, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and British Columbia Lions, both clinching playoff spots. No division winner yet, but both teams sit at 10-4, followed by the 6-8 Saskatchewan Roughriders, the 4-10 Calgary Stampeders, and don't look now, but the Edmonton Elks sneaking right up on them with a 4-11 record. All right, and with that, we're going to send it over to Randy, who's got some college scores we're going to talk about next.
Yes, FBS scores. Week 4. It was number 1 Georgia over UAB 49-21. Number 2 Michigan over Rutgers 31-7.
Did you watch any of that game?
Maybe a little bit.
Because Rutgers
not a
came
whole
out
lot.
first drive, heck of a, I think 3 or 4 plays, big 69-yard touchdown pass to start the game off. Rutgers led 7-0, and then it was all Michigan after that. I was a little nervous for my Michigan brethren out there, but Michigan pulled it off at the end. With Jim Harbaugh's first game back from his imposed suspension.
Yeah, self-imposed suspension. Let's see. Number 3 Texas over Baylor 38-6. Number 4 Florida State over Clemson 31-24 in overtime.
Wow, how Clemson have fallen.
Yeah. Number 6 Ohio State over number 9 Notre Dame 17-14. This was a big game.
Did you catch
and
any
I
of
did
this?
not see a whole lot of it.
I watched the end of this game, and I thought for sure this was Notre Dame's game. They
Right.
looked great, and then Ohio State marched on the field that last drive and eventually scored the game-winning touchdown. But Notre Dame apparently, I didn't know this till like just yesterday. They had 10 guys on the field during those last couple of plays against Ohio State. So what are you doing, Notre Dame? One of the biggest games you had in your place. I mean, the crowd, the atmosphere from College Game Day to that just looked absolutely nuts and bonkers. It probably was a great, day to be there. But Ohio State found a way to pull it out there. And if anything, Ryan Day, very passionate. I don't know if you saw that after the game, his little spiel against Lou Holtz.
No.
I guess Lou Holtz said something about Notre Dame.
I think I went to bed early that night. I was drained from this other game that I watched.
Oh, well, I'll let you talk about that one then.
But let's see. Number 7 Penn State shutout number 24 Iowa 31-0. Number 8 Washington over California 59-32. And the game that I watched, number 10 Oregon over number 19 Colorado 42-6. The Buffaloes are now out of the top 25 in the newest rankings that came out. I could not believe this game. This game was, I think, 42-0 in the fourth quarter, and Colorado managed to score a touchdown and miss the extra point. But man, oh man, I could not believe what I was seeing. I mean, a lot of people said that Colorado was not going to win this game, just because of the fact that Oregon was a much better team. And they were, obviously. But I just didn't expect
a shellacking like that.
Yeah, Colorado to do nothing offensively.
I mean, I guess you're it's a big game on the road in Eugene, Oregon, which that atmosphere out there had to have been nuts as well. A lot of trash talking before. I think the Ducks put out a sizzle of a bunch of Buffalo players talking smack about the Ducks before the game. So it's like, oh, that kind of bit them in the butt. My favorite highlight was the Oregon Duck coming out dressed as Dion, smashing a big primetime clock, and then losing his duck head.
Oh.
And then the guy immediately...
I didn't even see that.
Oh, it's great. You find it. I told you about the other day. Find it, because as soon as the guy's duck head fell off, he kept his head down so nobody could see his face and ran back up the tunnel like super fast. And then you see a guy running behind him holding the duck head, waddling behind him.
Chasing
him down. It was great. But, I mean, look, I wasn't expecting a big shellacking like this. I figured Oregon would probably win. And Colorado's got another test this week against USC.
Right.
But I think that one's in Colorado, so in your home stadium might be a little bit more competitive. But on the road in an environment like that with a team built like Oregon, that's going to be tough to overcome.
if they'd have lost by 7, 10 points,
Even a 14
I'd have
point
said,
loss, I would
okay,
have been, yeah.
yeah, they gave it a good shot. Yeah, they were up against a better team, but they came and they played and they did their best, and it just wasn't good enough today. So better luck.
But Oregon was
But
motivated. You
man, oh
saw.
man, this was I couldn't believe the
Did you
whole
see any of
game.
the Oregon's coach talking about before the
No,
game? Oh, the pregame.
I don't watch pregame
See,
stuff
well,
too
I mean,
much.
it made the rounds because he was doing his pregame like speech to his players, like we're here to get wins. They're here
Oh,
to get headlines.
get
Whatever.
clicks, yeah,
Yeah, get clicks.
that
I'm
I
just
did
like
hear.
they were motivated, and that's a very powerful tool. Dion's also a master motivator. And
Oh
look,
yeah,
we figured he would. I figured going into the Colorado season, they'll probably be good, not great.
right,
Dion's going to get that team to win way more games than they probably won last year,
sure,
especially with
sure.
who he recruited. But it's 1 year that they got all these new faces. Yeah, they're going to probably have some stumbles here and there. And here was the first one. I think
Yep.
we've got a couple more coming. But Dion should still be commended. I mean, even though they got shellacked, he's clearly, not unfazed. Like, he was clearly saying after the game, like, look, we'll be fine. Like, we're going to get it figured out. So I'm digging Dion as a coach. Like, I'm actually all for Coach Prime.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Colorado responds this week. You said they're playing
Yeah,
USC.
well, a big game against USC, number 8 this
We'll
week.
it'll say a lot to see how they recover from this devastating loss to playing another really good
And you're
team.
playing them at home in your building,
Right,
so that's going to be an even bigger test. Can
Mm.
you beat a big ranked opponent coming into your den?
right, yeah.
And so I'm thinking it'll be a more
Competitive game.
competitive game, probably a closer game. What I don't know. I feel like USC should probably win by a touchdown or two.
Mm.
But hey, conference game, good team, ranked team in your building. At least a score or two difference here.
Hey, to me, Colorado is still the team to watch this year. Whether
They're
they
still
win or
they're
whether they lose,
clearly
people are going to be watching.
clearly ESPN was all about Colorado till
Oh
Taylor
yeah.
Swift showed up. Did you see that meme?
No.
You see the meme where it's like the boyfriend with the girlfriend, and he's turning around and looking at the girl
Oh,
walking by.
okay.
They did that, except it was Taylor Swift as the girl walking by,
Oh,
and ESPN is the guy, and the Colorado Buffaloes is the girlfriend, like appalled that he's looking at some other chick.
uh-huh.
That was one of the best memes of the weekend.
All right, continuing with the college scores. Number 13, Alabama over number 15, Ole Miss, 24-10. Number 24, Washington State upset.
21.
Oh, what did I say?
You said 24.
Oh, number 21, Washington State upset number 14, Oregon State, 38-35. Toledo over our beloved Western Michigan, 49 to 31. It was Louisville over Boston College, 56-28. Miami of Ohio over Delaware State, 62-20. Maryland over Michigan State, 31-9. Boy, it's just not getting any better for Michigan State this year.
Nope.
I don't know what to say on that. Let's see. Indiana over Akron, 29-27 in 4 overtimes. Arizona squeaked by Stanford, 21-20. In the military academies, it was Syracuse over Army, 29-16. Air Force over San Jose State, 45-20. And Navy did not play this week. So from here on, we're going to talk some lower level games and 2 random scores that I picked out. So at the FCS level, it was Western Carolina over Charleston Southern, 77-21, and Harvard beat Brown 34-31. In Division II, it was Tuskegee over Lane, 28-22 in 2 overtimes, and St. Anselm over Post, 42-21. At the Division III level, it was Maryville of Tennessee over Brevard. I think that's how you pronounce that, Brevard, 37-35 in 3 overtimes. It was Wartburg shutting out Simpson, 63-0, and a bonus score from Division III. Rensselaer also shut out Dean by the score of 63-0. So 2 63-0 scores in Division III this past week. Let's see. At the NAIA level, it was St. Francis of Indiana over St. Ambrose, 28-9. Rocky Mountain over Eastern Oregon, 13-7. In National Junior College scores, it was Snow College from Ephraim, Utah over Dodge City, 15-6. And it was Highland of Kansas over Garden City, 3-0. Boy, that was an exciting game for everybody in those stands. Let's see. U Sports up in Canada, their version of the NCAA up there. It was Guelph over York, 88-7. Whew. and the University of British Columbia over Alberta 54-37. And finally, in the Canadian Junior Football League, the Winnipeg Rifles shut out the Edmonton Wildcats 39-0, and the London Beefeaters defeated the Greater Toronto Area Grizzlies 43-7. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. I didn't count up how many scores we had this week, but
A lot.
that's a lot of them. Half our show is scoreboard, it seems like. So let's quickly move on to some NFL news, and I'm sure Adam will have plenty of opinions on some of these stories here. Usher will be the halftime performer at this year's Super Bowl in Las Vegas. I guess Wayne Newton wasn't available.
I love it when you have a joke ready to go and you have to write it down. You can't just deliver it off the cuff. You have to write the joke down in the notes.
Well, because I might.
So I saw that one coming.
But Usher was everywhere. He was on CBS Sunday Morning this morning, and they just announced it yesterday, or was it Sunday? Yeah. And yesterday morning, I think Monday morning, he was on CBS Morning News from Las Vegas talking to Gayle King and those folks there, Nate Burleson. So I mean, yeah, he's almost getting as much airtime as Taylor Swift.
Keyword almost,
but not quite. But yeah, he was everywhere. They were all talking about it. All the entertainment shows were talking about it. Sports shows were talking about it because that was the big news that came out of last week. What do you think about Usher doing the?
A little surprised, to be honest with you. I wasn't sure what direction they would go in, but they had Rihanna last year. I forget when The Weeknd's was. His was a couple years ago. So they've done a lot of these kind of pop, hip hop kind of stuff, which I'm fine with. I don't mind it. Usher, there's a lot of songs of his I'm familiar with just because you go to a middle school or high school dance, you hear at least 2 or 3 of those. And then I didn't really think about it. I was like, that's a weird choice. Usher, really? Like, I haven't heard a big hit from him in years anyway. So it's kind of like Rihanna, where she didn't have a hit for years.
Right.
Then all of a sudden she gets a Super Bowl. But then I realized, it's in Las Vegas this year, the Super Bowl. I remember hearing him announce that he had a residency.
Yes, he's been doing
Vegas.
A residency.
So that kind of clicked. He's already got a residency out there. He's already out there.
It's ending.
He puts on a great show anyway, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, I've seen him do some great performances, and there's a great YouTube video. Go check it out where he does a tiny desk session. You're not hip with the music, so you probably don't know what that is.
That's an NPR thing?
NPR thing. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
I'm familiar with the tiny desk concerts.
He did one of those, and there's a great meme from that one where he's doing the fingers across the eyes, like watch me or you can't see me or whatever. Great. The meme is great.
It looks like the Batusi.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, but I love using that meme whenever I can. But he's a great performer, great voice. So I feel like he'll put together a really good halftime show. It'll be entertaining at the least, even if you're not a big fan of his music.
The only song that I know of his is the one that they always played at the Rampage games.
Which one was that one?
Dun, 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 dun,
oh yeah!
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, to me, every time I hear that, it's the Grand Rapids Rampage of the Arena Football League.
The song
they play that all the time, every game.
That's the song I figure it's going to be one of the last ones because that's got Usher, obviously, Lil Wayne, Lil Jon shows up in that one, and so does Ludacris. So if those 2 other guys don't show up to help perform that song at the
they're already saying, speculating who might join him.
Those 2 at least got to join.
They
got to do that.
Rihanna didn't have anybody, and they speculated all along that she might have somebody else with her.
Maybe he won't, but
he might.
I feel like
might not.
That song, for as big as that song was, he's got to at least get Lil Jon and Ludacris to show up.
He only gets 13 minutes from what I was hearing.
Just play that one song.
But it takes a half an hour to bring all the stuff in,
That's true.
Do the 13-minute show, and move all the stuff out, and get the teams back out again. So, yeah, but technically it's only a 13-minute performance.
Well, like I said, I still anticipate it'll be a fun show, even though if you're not a big fan of the music. So it should be fine.
But the other story is Taylor Swift was at the Kansas City Bears game, the Chiefs-Bears game.
Yep.
And she was sitting with Travis Kelce's mom up in a suite.
Oh, boy.
They kept going back to that several times during the game. And on all the post-game shows, like I was watching Good Morning Football yesterday morning and today, and that's all they were showing. Because I FF through a lot of it because I taped it later, and I was rewatching. And I'm FFing just to see what they said about the Lions. And before they went to every break, they were re-showing the scenes of her up there in the suite, or they were showing her and him walking out of the locker room area or whatever. So I mean, she was getting all this attention. I think this was a well choreographed publicity stunt.
Oh,
myself.
Come on!
I do.
It's
I don't
true
think it's
love,
true.
Randy. Stop standing in the way of it. If anything, we're gonna get a
No.
great breakup song a year or two down
Oh
the road
yeah.
about this.
Yeah. She's gonna trash him, and she'll do it at the Super Bowl next year.
Oh
The song
man.
where she trashes him after dumping him or something.
Yeah, okay. We'll see. But so I added a couple things because you just had that she showed up.
Right.
I found a
I
couple
knew you'd
things.
talk about it
Yeah.
because you're
So we
more into this
added
than I
that
am.
according to the apparel site Fanatics, Kelsey's jersey sales, that's Travis Kelsey,
Mhm.
went up 400% across their sites, including NFLshop.com. So a lot of Swifties coming out there going, ooh, I probably should get a Travis Kelsey jersey to support Taylor's new
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Is it going to be a sea of red at her next concert where everybody's wearing a Travis Kelsey jersey?
Maybe. I bet you they go to if she has a show there at Arrowhead, oh, you're going to bet your bottom dollar it'll be nothing but Travis Kelsey jerseys.
Yeah.
Shoot. But so there's that, and then Fox Sports also announced that Chiefs Bears game drew 24.3 million viewers, despite switching off that game in our area, making it the most watched game of the weekend.
They're attributing that to her.
Well, they did say that according to whatever rating systems, that the females from the age of I forget the age range. It was like 17 to whatever. The young female demographic was actually up 8%. This wasn't even like so a year ago. This was like 8% down from last year's game at of week 3 of last season. But the female demographic jumping up exponentially from last season. So they are attributing that once the news came out that Taylor Swift was at that game, I think that's when the ratings skyrocketed. So clearly, the Taylor Swift effect now in effect in the NFL.
I forget who it was on the CBS morning show. He was watching the game and he had a bunch of uh, kids or kids' friends were over and he's videotaping with his phone, and every time she came on the screen, these girls would start screaming like it was the Beatles or something. They're just screaming out of their mind because Taylor Swift was on TV at this game, and he was recording their reaction to her on the screen. It was incredible.
I mean,
I
yeah.
don't get it,
Look,
but
I'm all for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey. I thought it was sweet that she was sitting next to Kelsey's mom in the press box because her Kelsey's mom was one of the best stories last
oh
year going into
sure,
the Super Bowl.
oh yeah,
Sweet lady.
yep.
So it's cool that Taylor Swift got to hang out with her. And I saw some video where a bunch of fans at the Chiefs game were like thinking that they were sneaking Taylor Swift around in a popcorn like one of those big luggage things, but they had like it was like a popcorn thing. That was weird. Yeah,
I
people
don't
were like,
know.
are they hiding Taylor Swift in that box and moving her around so we can't see her? I was just like, good Lord, internet. But look, I'm curious to see if Taylor Swift shows up at some more Chiefs games or even on a road game, what those ratings are going to look like. Are the Swifties going to keep swarming and causing these ratings to bump up? We'll see.
It would be funny
Or
if
is this all orchestrated by Roger Goodell to get the ratings up across the league? Taylor Swift's going to just start popping up at every Chiefs game.
I think it'd be funny if Travis Kelsey shows up at one of her concerts, like as a stagehand, moving some speakers around or setting up the
Did
drums.
you not hear that story?
No.
About how, quick sidebar, I guess, when he tried to he went to a Taylor Swift concert and like made her a BFF bracelet or something. He never met her before. I guess this is the story from his podcast, but he was like going to go give it to her, but I don't know if she wouldn't see him or he just, I don't know, couldn't get in when they're, I don't know. It was just funny that he was like trying to actually meet Taylor Swift and it didn't happen and now they're dating. So
I put more into the pictures of her talking with Dan Campbell on the sidelines when she did the national anthem
Back in Ford Field.
at Ford Field, and he was a player on the
Yeah.
team back when she was just getting started and all
I
that.
thought you were going to say you're more into the Swift Kelsey relationship with the Eagles with DeAndre Swift and
No.
Jason Kelsey.
No,
Didn't you see that? Somebody held up a sign that said my pairing is
this Kelsey
this
and this
Kelsey
Swift.
and DeAndre Swift.
All right, let's move on. That's enough about her. Let's see. The late Raiders quarterback Kenny Stabler's daughter, Kendra Stabler Moyes, received her father's ring as he was inducted into the Raiders Ring of Excellence at Allegiant Stadium. They didn't get a whole lot of press coverage, but I saw some pictures of that. I thought that's pretty cool. She's,
Yeah.
he gives her the ring, on the field, and she's holding it up and she's showing it to the fans. And of course, everybody that remembers her dad as the quarterback of the Oakland Raiders back in the 70s
Right.
was going crazy. So that was kind of a cool moment to see that happen. And I didn't watch the Raiders game, so I didn't
I didn't see that either.
see much of
from
it.
what
I
I was
don't know if they
watching.
showed it live. I don't know if it was pregame or halftime. I think it was halftime, but yeah, I wasn't really watching that game. But a couple of things coming out on streaming. A documentary called Bye Bye Barry is going to start streaming on Amazon Prime on November 21st. I don't know if anybody's heard about this nationally, but locally, it's getting a lot of attention here in Michigan. But it's a documentary where Barry Sanders supposedly is going to explain why he abruptly retired from the NFL after 10 seasons. And a
Because
lot
the
of,
Lions sucked.
well,
That's
that's the prevailing thought that everybody had. I mean, yeah, the way I took it back then was that he saw that the team just wasn't going anywhere, and he was getting beat up, and they weren't going to win. So why try? But maybe he's got a different take on it. Maybe after years of reflection, he might have a different story. I don't know.
yeah.
But Lions fans are really looking forward to seeing that. But another one, I sent you this picture. I don't know if you saw it. I texted you a picture that I took from the TV screen
Yeah.
because they had some commercials today for something called A Football Life Origins. And I've never heard of this, but I think it's like a special version of the Football Life series where they talk about current players, not people that have been retired for
Mhm.
10, 20 years. But the first one that I know of is going to be about Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that is going to stream on the NFL Network this Friday at 9 p.m. If you have NFL Plus, you can see it right now, but yeah, it's going to be on NFL Network. So I'm really, really looking forward to that because I love Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, we
He's
all do,
fantastic.
and he's one of the best young Lions players, to come out in the last
Right.
years. The Lions
Yeah.
have got a lot of great young talent, but Amon-Ra's kind of that one player that no matter what, broadcaster, whoever is talking about the Lions, Amon-Ra comes up as being
Yep.
a great young piece of this team, and we love Amon-Ra. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
so much. I love seeing him give Bears fans a bunch of crap. So that's
because
my favorite
because
thing.
his brother
His
plays
brother
on
plays
it.
for him. Yeah,
And he and his brother do a podcast
they do it.
every
Yeah, they
week.
do a podcast together too.
Okay. We're not here to promote their
I
podcast,
mean,
but
no, but I mean, go check it out if you want.
but if they want us to be a guest on their show,
I mean,
we'd do
Amon-Ra,
that.
you can get a hold of us.
All right, some news coming out of the Arena Football League, or the new Arena Football League that's coming out next year. I guess the Orlando Predators were officially announced. We've known about it for
Yeah, it's
months.
like I think they deleted all those original posts when they were first
Hmm,
announcing teams in air quotes,
right.
and they would like walk that back, and then they've been coming out with these official statements.
Yeah, my thought is that they probably didn't have an agreement with the arena,
Uh,
so they,
so now they're just crossing their T's and
right,
dotting their I's.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, but some notes that came out of that, and this comes from Tim Capper at Arena Fan. Some notes from the press conference that they held, not just the statement that came out, but they also held a press conference, and he evidently saw that or was maybe part of that. But now they're talking about 20 teams to start out this year instead of 16 teams. I mean, we thought 16 was ambitious to bring back the Arena Football League. Eight would have been great, and then build from there. But they said, no, we're going to start out with 16. They came up with the names of 16 cities and or states where these teams are going to be. And now they're saying it's going to be 20 teams. And some of the cities and states people are scratching their head at. And the people in those cities or states had no idea that the Arena Football League was coming. So I don't know what's going on there. But they also said that in this uh, press conference that several champions indoor football teams could be joining the league. And I know for a fact that the Rapid City Marshals, who played in the CIF last year, have a press conference scheduled for, I don't, it's within the next week. It might be the next few days. I didn't catch the date, but they're going to have a press conference. So my guess is that they're going to be announced that they're going to be in the Arena Football League from Rapid City, South Dakota. They talked about how they're going to have Wilson footballs, which in the early days of the Arena Football League, that was the football supplier was Wilson. In fact, I've got a Wilson football from the early days of the Arena Football League, and then they switched to somebody else. I forget who. Oh, Spalding is who they went with later on. But originally it was Wilson. Let's see, they're going to have two conferences and four divisions. The Arena Bowl is going to be held at a neutral site, which we have been against the whole time. Ever since they came out and suggested that, we were flat out not in favor of a neutral site Arena Bowl, but they're going ahead with that. The season's going to run April through July 20th. They're going to introduce the deuce, which is a 2-point kickoff. And I've seen this in some of the other leagues. If you kick off from the goal line, and if it goes through the uprights, you get 2 points. Just right there on the kickoff, you can get 2 points for your team. So they've never done that in the Arena Football League before, but I know that some other indoor leagues have done that. It's kind of interesting. So we'll see how that comes out. Let's see. They they said that there's a potential that the ball color could change in the postseason. Maybe silver balls for the playoffs, and the Arena Bowl might have a special gold football. That seems pretty useless to me. I don't like that at all. Just use the same football. Maybe fans are going to say, "Oh, look, I caught an errant pass during the Arena Bowl, and I got this gold football as a souvenir." And maybe that's what they're thinking. But I think it's kind of a waste of time myself to bother with something like that. Another thing they said was that the Louisiana AFL team is going to be located in Lake Charles to start, but I don't know if they're going to be calling it the New Orleans Voodoo or not. I think maybe they can't get it in New Orleans for maybe a year or so, so they still want the New Orleans Voodoo, but they're going to have them in Lake Charles, or I don't know if they're going to have a different name, but that's one of the things they talked about. And the last thing was that the Tampa area was offered an arena team, and they did not want one. That is an absolute shock to me that Tampa Bay did not want to get the Storm back. I mean, the Storm was one of the premier teams in the Arena Football League for so many years. They had Jay Gruden as a player and a coach, and the war on I-4 between Tampa and Orlando, and then they had Jacksonville down there. I mean, that was a hotbed for arena football, and the fans would travel to both stadiums. So I cannot believe that officials in the Tampa area did not want an arena football team. So this all just came out today, and I haven't really had a chance to digest all of this information. What do you think? I think this is the first time you're hearing a lot of this.
I think this came out yesterday, or
Okay.
Capper put it together,
Okay.
in his tweet with all the bullet points. So thanks, Tim, for all that.
Hmm.
Um, I was letting you just read everything. I was gonna let you get everything out and lay it all out because I definitely got some thoughts. So
Okay.
I won't go through everything bullet point by bullet point, but I do want to say, have you seen those commercials for this new show on Fox called Snake Oil?
Yes.
All right. Well, they should put the Arena Football League up on this show because I'm sorry, I am in the camp right now. I was so excited
Oh
when they
yeah.
announced this back in February. Randy, Dad, I was all for this. I was all sorts of excited. Lee Hutton was saying all the right things. He was going on to Tim Capper's podcast, giving great, great information, and then radio silence for a few months. And I was like, uh-oh. They said we were supposed to hear something by now, and it's been how long? Then more news started to trickle out, and then some pieces started getting put into place, and then this stuff about some CIF teams joining, and I am just. It just seems like this is a big, big, not a scam per se, but this isn't as well put together as I think was originally pitched. And I
Mm.
feel like I have been sold a little bit of snake oil
Mm.
with this new version of the Arena Football League. I hate saying it because I love the Arena Football League. We will
Right.
we will talk about the Grand Rapids Rampage all the live long day. We will
Mm.
talk about the old Arena Football League stuff with much love in our hearts. But right now, and they could prove me wrong, and I'm gonna try to keep an open mind, but just my gut knee jerk reaction right now is I feel like I am being sold snake oil by David Spade on national television on Fox. That is how I feel at this moment, and I hope I'm wrong because, like I said, Lee Hutton was saying all the right things. But uh, I just adding these CIF teams and cities, huh? Where did this all come from? Is this a development that maybe just kind of became an opportunity as the league was starting to put these 16 teams together? Like, oh, well, you mean it wouldn't financially hurt us if we just added another 4 teams to make it an even 20? Because we were sold on, yes, we would see familiar teams, but we assumed it was familiar teams from Arena Football past.
Mm.
Now we're getting, and I've always said, look, nothing wrong with the CIF or the players that play in the
Sure.
CIF,
Sure.
but I always kind of put that league under kind of the quote unquote rinky dink aspect of indoor/arena football. It was like that third tier where it's like, look, I don't think it's terrible, but it's not the high quality standard I have for when I think of the Arena Football League. And then to just kind of roll them all into this brand new Arena League that is supposed to be, and they said in that same spiel, I believe, that they want the Arena League to be the quote, premier top dog indoor/arena football game in town. And I'm sorry, but Billings, Montana, what's the other city in South Dakota? South Dakota or Lake Charles, like
Right.
that doesn't scream premier top tier locations for the Arena Football League.
Well, we knew, or at least I assumed, that a lot of the teams from other leagues were going to get absorbed into the AFL.
I figured maybe some of the classic. I figured the Rattlers. I figured the Sharks.
True.
Teams that have had top tier success because the Indoor Football League right now is the king.
Right.
I'm going to say it right now. They are still
always
the king.
has been.
Well, not always. The Arena League. Then when the Arena League disappeared, Indoor Football League filled in that place, and they've done fairly solid the last couple of years. Maybe not reaching the peak of what the Arena Football League was, but doing a solid job with great franchises like the Rattlers, like the Sharks, like with Albany and the Barnstormers and all that.
Right.
Right now, it just seems like the Arena Football League is like, oh well, we should probably just get some teams. Let's soak them up from these small, tiny markets, and I think there's a couple of CIF markets that won't be able to join anyway because their arenas just don't fit the. I believe it was the Gillette Mustangs said that they were clearly out because of
they have a very tiny
the arena specifications. So I don't know. I'm a little pessimistic about this as of right now. I should be excited about talking arena football and just all that stuff. I mean, there's some good stuff in there. I'm curious about this deuce play. Mm-hmm. I'm curious about this different colored balls, which I actually don't mind. I think that's kind of fun and different. But at the end of the day, when I heard that they were like, it was phrased in a way that they were absorbing the CIF, and I was like, don't know if I like that, but we'll see. I'm going to try to give them the benefit of the doubt and let everything kind of get laid out officially before I get too carried away. And I'm also still hung up on the West Texas Warbirds changing their name to the Desert Hawks and that crap, that logo that they stole. I have found the indoor football team that they stole that logo from. Mm-hmm. Put the side-by-side out there. What are we doing, Arena Football League? Like, you, as a commissioner, you should not let a team just blatantly steal a logo like that. That is a crime in and of itself. And I'm just in this very pessimistic space with the Arena League right now.
Well,
and where's the Minnesota myth?
I still want the Fighting Pike. See, that's the thing. When I hear that the Arena Football League is coming back, I think we're getting all of our old teams back. And right now, we're not getting that. Yes, we're getting the
Predators.
Orlando Predators. But where's the Philadelphia Soul? Where's the Chicago Rush? Where's a lot of the other teams, the Arizona Rattlers and some of the other ones that started and built the Arena Football League into what it was?
That was teased by the commissioner.
Yes.
He blatantly said the Rattlers were coming.
Right.
And they didn't.
Well, so far anyway.
Well.
But yeah, so when I think about the Arena Football League, I want my old teams back. I want it to be exactly the way it was. I know it's not going to be, but in my mind, that's what I want is the same old teams. I can understand getting some new teams. I mean, towards the end, we had the Washington Valor and what was that, Atlantic City Blackjacks.
Oh yeah.
So those were two new teams right at the very end before the whole league folded. But there was the Columbus. What were they going to be? The Columbus Wild Dogs.
No, the Wild Dogs were a part of the indoor football.
Right,
league.
But they were talking about possibly a Columbus franchise or somebody from Ohio. Yeah. Where's the Cleveland Gladiators? The teams that we have known and loved for many years that did great things, and so far I have not heard any of those spoken about.
Right.
Where are they?
It seems like they're starting to roll things out now with a press conference with the Predators now. Apparently more coming either later this week or next week.
Right.
So we'll keep an eye on this, but I'm sorry. David Spade's sitting there in the corner trying to ask me if this is snake oil or not, and I'm leaning towards snake oil right now.
I get your apprehension, but like you, I'm also going to say, let's see what they're planning. I may like it once they put it all together, and okay.
You won't.
Well, I may hate it less when I see what's coming up. Here's a Northwest division. You got this team. Okay, I can kind of see that. A few teams I'm familiar with, from other leagues. We'll see how that plays out. But man, I want Philadelphia. I want Chicago.
If they start announcing a couple of those,
yes,
great. But we haven't gotten there yet. But you think, why have those been the ones not coming? It's these other these other smaller markets that are getting recognition. And the market's so small. How come Grand Rapids, Michigan isn't being talked about.
Yeah, if you got a Billings, Montana, you can have a Grand
You
Rapids,
could that,
Michigan.
and that's my other beef with this too. Oh, we did our market research, and Billings, Montana makes a lot more sense than Grand Rapids. What are you talking about? Billings, Montana, with a population of 8 dudes and a horse. Come on.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have some more news about the Arena Football League next week. We'll see. But as new teams are announced, we'll definitely keep an eye on it and let you know where they're coming from and what we can expect from them. So let's move on. Today's birthdays and anniversaries. September 26th. Happy birthday today to halfback Johnny Morris, who turns 88 years old today. He played his college football at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and he was selected in the 12th round of the 1958 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears. He played 10 seasons in the NFL, all with the Bears from 1958 to 1967, and he won an NFL title with the Bears in 1963. And on this day in 2021, kicker Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens kicks an NFL record 66-yard field goal to beat the Lions 19-17. And I think I know a couple of kids who were there for that game,
Yeah,
right
you
in the
gotta
end
bring it
zone.
up.
You mentioned that earlier because we were talking about
I didn't even see this in the
field goals.
rundown. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Uh-huh.
That's why I was like, why are we talking about Justin Tucker? Ah,
Yeah, because it was
what a sore spot.
2 years ago today. You were there
I was there to see an NFL record kick,
watching it
kick
come
in my
right at me.
direction.
Yep, right. Oh, I felt so bad for you guys.
Ugh.
That had to be the worst drive home ever.
It was rough.
All right, we do have two obituaries this week. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is Jim Vecchiarella, a former assistant coach in the NFL, college, and the World Football League, has passed away at the age of 86. Vecchiarella started his professional coaching career as an assistant coach with the Charlotte Hornets of the World Football League in 1975. He also coached at Tulane from 1978 to 1980, as well as 6 different NFL teams between 1981 and 2001. Those teams were the Los Angeles Rams, Kansas City Chiefs, New York Jets twice, Cleveland Browns, Philadelphia Eagles, and the San Diego Chargers.
And our final obituary this week is that of Hubert Ginn, a running back in the NFL for 9 seasons, has passed away at the age of 76. Ginn played college football at Florida A&M and was selected in the 9th round of the 1970 NFL Draft by the Miami Dolphins. He played in Miami from 1970 to 1973 and was a member of the Dolphins' 1972 undefeated Super Bowl VII championship team. During the 73 season, he was traded to the Baltimore Colts but was released by the Colts during the 74 preseason. He resigned.
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 I guess I should have put
a
hyphen in there.
He re-signed with the Dolphins and played 2 more seasons with the team in 1974 and 1975. Ginn finished his playing career with the Oakland Raiders from 1976 to 1979, winning a second Super Bowl with the Raiders in 1976.
All right, and lastly today, our upcoming events calendar. Sunday, October 1st, that's this coming Sunday, we got football from London. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's going to be at 9:30 a.m. East Coast time from Wembley Stadium, and that's also going to be the Toy Story Fun Day thing, where the game is going to be replayed on Andy's room floor. ESPN and Disney Plus are showing this game.
Yeah, Disney Plus for the Toy Story version, ESPN Plus for the regular game.
Okay. So yeah, it would be interesting to check out a little bit of
at
it.
least try
I
to
don't
check
think
it
I
out.
could watch a whole lot of it, but it should be very interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
See what the technology looks like. Sunday, October 8th, Jacksonville versus Buffalo in London, another 9:30 game. That one's going to be at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's going to be on the NFL Network. And Sunday, October 15th, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Tennessee Titans, a 9:30 a.m. game from Tottenham, and that's also going to be on the NFL Network. And finally, in the month of October, Saturday, October 28th, the CFL regular season ends and the playoffs begin.
All right.
All right. Anything else before we close this show out? It's been a long one, and
No, it was a long one. A couple of rants thrown in there.
A lot of interesting stuff this week.
Yeah, very diverse. I feel like Look, I like talking arena football.
Oh, yeah.
But a little bittersweet right now.
Got a wait and see attitude.
I know.
Let's see what
I'm
teams
familiar.
they bring in.
I'm not trying to be a total downer with it, but I just, like I said, as soon as I saw that news, the first thought was snake oil.
Mm.
So we shall see.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow our X account where the address is at TWOF Kalamazoo, as well as our Instagram. That's right, we have an Instagram now,
Yeah.
where you can also find us at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this podcast on our YouTube channel. Just search in the search bar of YouTube for the World of Football Kalamazoo, or use the handle at the World of Football when you type up the URL. So that's youtube.com/at the World of Football. Please spread the word and subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the Taylor Swift conversation.
Oh, God, not that again. I bet we'll be talking about her again next week,
I hope so.
unfortunately.
I mean, she brings in the ratings. That could probably help. Slapping Taylor Swift's face on our podcast thumbnail might help us out. We'll have to see if we get a big bump in views.
Yeah, I can see girls screaming when they see our webpage now with the graphic up there.
Oh, I'm
with her on
sure.
it. All right, and remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm man. I hate to break this to everybody, but
He's at a loss for words.
I lost out on dating Taylor Swift thanks to Travis Kelce. So there's that out there.
But we'll see how long this lasts.
Yeah.
We'll see you all next week.
Tell me you don't want a breakup song about you. I know I do.